Gold spikes to record levels. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I thought we'd have a look at this article from news.com.au by James Hall discussing, well, the significant climb in gold prices. I'm sure a lot of the gold bugs and silver stackers have been following the price closely yesterday. If we jump over here, we can see right now gold is at 1957 US, a new record. Is it a new record? I'll zoom out. Yep, yeah, no, most certainly a new record. It held. Silver was up at $26 US an ounce, and it's not at a new record yet, but you know, there's room to move. We'll have to see. Most people are watching these quite closely, and some people are investing directly in bars and stacking, which if you've never done, you've never held a small bar of gold or even a decent bar of gold, it definitely feels different to real money. It definitely feels different to real money, and girls like it. You know, they like holding a hunk of gold. But another Peter Schiff, he's not investing, not stacking at the moment. He's buying into shares. He's investing into shares because he sees more opportunity there. Now, that's something that other people have mentioned on the channel in the comments, that they've invested in shares. So let us know what shares you've invested in here in Australia. It'd be interesting to have a look at the company. Just maybe I'll do an episode and we track some of them to see how they would go, if they would have been a good investment. If the demand for gold is increasing, well, you'd expect that these businesses would be more profitable and hopefully pay a better dividend. It'd be great if you could get your dividends paid in gold, wouldn't it? Anyway, let's have a look at this article. So gold price spikes to new record as stocks climb. The Australian share market lifted on Tuesday thanks to the precious commodity, but analysts warn its value is linked to dire forecasts. Well, yes, that's true. You people jump into gold. I mean, I didn't even consider looking at gold or silver as a way to just have an emergency buffer or to preserve some funds until, everything started going quite concerning. How many people have you talked to? How many people have you talked to that wouldn't even think about buying gold or silver? It's kind of a niche little thing, isn't it? When you talk to them, I'll just buy a bit of gold, just store it there in case there's some economic troubles. In case they start inflating money to nothing. They're thinking, oh, that's a good idea. Never would have thought about that. We're so used to just dealing with paper money now we don't even think about it. Well, let's have a look. The stocks are climbing. What's the ASX 200 sitting? It's sitting at 6,000. It's sitting at 6,000. So it seems to be trading sideways at the moment, around the 6,000 level. So we'll have to see. We'll have to watch it. Australian shares rose Tuesday morning after gold prices soared to a record high overnight. Investors rushed to the safe haven commodity on fears escalating tensions between the US and China, coupled with spiking pandemic cases, will put a dent in global growth. And we've had a look at a previous video how international trade is taking a dent. It is taking a dent. And what I'm going to bring up here is the Observatory of Economic Complexity, because you can see gold is our fourth biggest export here in Australia, 6.5%, 16.1 billion of gold exported. And once it updates, you can see where we're exporting it to. A big chunk to Hong Kong, which I'm not surprised at all. If you've ever been to Hong Kong, just the gold trading over there is insane. It's so different over here. If you go to a northern hemisphere, a city, a real city, Australia feels like such a little country bumpkin town. And I guess it's even worse in Brisbane compared to Sydney or Melbourne. I remember Rachel went and bought a gold ring that was so pure, it was so soft. She isn't, let's just say, how can I say this without hurting her feelings? She's not that graceful, like a dent and bad when she's doing the dishes or working with a hammer, so it's not really suited to her. So now it's a gold ring to look at. And then as well, we've got China, that we're exporting a lot of our gold to. So Asian demand is driving, and you've got some of these cultures here, particularly India, Chinese, mainland and Greater China, where traditionally, gold is a store of wealth. And has that been lost a bit in Western cultures, perhaps? What do you think, guys? Let me know. Maybe we've got a whole lot of gold and silver bugs here. Investors rushed to the safe haven, and we've already read that. The price of gold reached an all-time high on Tuesday morning of 1963. propelling Aussie stocks nearly 1% higher during early trade. Investors are normally reluctant to hold gold as it doesn't generate yield compared with stocks or bond, IBIS World Senior Analyst James Thompson said. And that's true. That's true. If you could take the same money and you put it in some stocks, you'll be getting a dividend payment. Gold, there's a cost to hold it. One viewer mentioned in the comments, and it's a bit of a horror story. I think in March, his accountant advised him and convinced him to shift all of his self-managed super fund out of gold just before we're reaching these all-time highs. Fortunately, he had some private holdings as well, but you can see how that can make you pretty grumpy, can't you? Because I mean, there are holding costs associated with gold. There are other options to do. I'm a big fan of using Gold Pass, and you can see I plug it at the end of every one of my videos. I've actually done a video on how I use all the crypto I collect. I just flip into gold using Gold Pass, because I've realized the older I get, I'm more boring, and I like the stability of it. Anyway, back to this. However, the unprecedented economic disruption attributed to the pandemic economic closures has led to a surge in demand for safe haven assets such as precious metals. Most asset classes have been severely disrupted by the virus crisis as populations are forced indoors, while the travel and transport industries remain grounded. But gold production in Australia has been largely unaffected through the extraordinary period, with anticipations it will produce 372 tons of the precious commodity this financial year, about 10% of total global output. One thing we're actually doing is we're teaching our children to save by buying physical silver, giving them silver coins, and encouraging grandparents, buy them a silver coin so they can put it in their money tin and they can, have it there, hold it physically, better than digits on a screen. Psychologically, just the haptic sense of touching, the weight you feel in your hands, it makes a difference. As designers, we take account of that in the material selection when we're specifying materials, when you're designing even furniture. It's all important. I can see why people get very addicted to it. Its surging value is always a sign of trouble, Spreadex analyst Connor Campbell warned, as it typically indicates a defensive move from investors who are abandoning other asset classes. Gold continued its red-hot streak on Monday, the safe haven commodity looking mighty attractive after another troubling pandemic weekend and US-China headlines, he said. Pandemic infection numbers in the US continued to soar as the deadly tally approached 150,000, and its dollar weakened against other major currencies. The fall in the US currency comes amid expectations the Federal Reserve will keep interest rates lower for longer, and the economy could underperform those in other regions due to the pandemic. A further escalation of tensions between China and the US, with the tit-for-tat embassy closures, was the most obvious reason for the change in market tone, said Rupert Thompson, Chief Investment Officer at Kingsworth. One thing that's quite interesting is that we can see with the trade war, Trump's tweets would affect the market, everyone. It would affect the market in the US. It's a clown world we're living in. It's a clown world we're living in. But the continuing uncertainties over the prospects for the economic recovery may have also contributed. The price of gold is tipped to rise further over the next 5 years as demand increases and supply becomes more scarce. Demand for gold jewelry is expected to rise over the next 5 years due to the middle class expanding in India, China, and Southeast Asia, he says. At the same time, gold production will likely stagnate due to the depletion of aging mines in Russia, South Africa, Mexico, and Australia. Well, there you go, everyone. So what are your hot tips for mines that maybe have future prospects that might be a good investment or a good risk if you're brave enough to take it? Maybe it's an exploration company, and that's well, in some ways that's a gamble. I watched a very interesting video with Peter Schiff, and I'll look it up now so I get the name, and a gentleman discussing Bitcoin, and it was quite interesting. Here we go. We don't have it here. A guy called Bloom, I think, and It's not on his channel. Why is it on his channel? Okay, I can't find it. But it was quite... The one thing the gentleman from, the Bitcoiner just kept saying, oh, I can know instantly how much Bitcoin is produced every day. You don't know that from gold. Does it even matter? What's the value of knowing instant production? Gold, you can get estimates, you can get assumptions. The market will decide. The market will adjust. It's the free hand there. He was obsessing about these things, expecting Bitcoin to be the global reserve currency. And I don't know why one would expect that when the states and the banks, well, would just create their own. It's not, the moat around it isn't that difficult. Anyone can create their own cryptocurrency. So while I can see there are advantages to it, and people can use it, particularly in conflict zones. We saw it happen in Zimbabwe. Bitcoin spiked up in price very high because of some of the issues there. And right now it's also climbing up too. It's over 11,000. Over 11,000. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it plays out. What do you think, guys? Are you a Bitcoin hodler? Do you think it is the way of the future? Or are you like me and can see, well, other people can replicate it very easily? Why won't the authorities just deem it illegal and create their own? What do you think? Or will you just have an Australian Bitcoin? What was quite interesting was Facebook trying to set one up. That would have been very interesting. The Libra coin. It wasn't really a cryptocurrency, but, well, an international token pegged to a basket of currencies controlled by a private business where anyone with a mobile phone could have access to, well, another way of storing their wealth, another way of trading. Quite interesting. I'm not surprised, moves were made to limit its ability. What do you think, guys? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, and I'll see you all next time.